Why? What do you mean? No. You just said,
Happy Sunday.
You just said you think you're going to have a panic attack.
I like how you did not respond until we went live.
I was in the middle of doing something.
Oh my God. Hi, you guys. Happy Sunday.
Hey, guys. Happy Sunday.
Beautiful day. Very warm in here.
It is a beautiful. I know. So for those of you guys that are in the summer as we are,
we need to get some more insulation.
I guess it's probably the same everywhere, but you know, when you have an upstairs and downstairs, it tends to be more warm in the upstairs region than the downstairs.
Region is French for region.
We turn the brightness up.
Dana. Hey, Robin.
Hey guys.
Hey, Metaphor. Kenzie, Elizabeth. Hello, Alicia.
Hello.
Happy Sunday, you guys.
So and then we move it to the closet, which is where we're at now, and there's no AC in here, and it's even more hot. So,
hey, Chris.
Hey,
Tina.
Guys. Hi, Christina. Hi, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us. Adrian is about to have a panic attack.
I felt it coming on. I don't think I actually get panic attacks, so we're fine. But what I do appreciate is the fact that 5 minutes ago, I was like, I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack, and she did not say anything. Hits go live and said, so you feel like you're about to have a panic attack? Just like, this will make good content. It's exactly what you thought, isn't it?
I do think we can talk about that.
Can you imagine if I did that to, can you imagine if I did that to you?
Well, yeah. You talk every time we go live, you talk about how I have a bad attitude about life and I am not in a good mood and why maybe you should talk about that. You do that all the time to me.
It's different than a panic attack. Anyway, no, anxiety is high right now. We were just talking about the fact that I need to travel to
another part of the country.
I need to travel in general to Tennessee for my folks' 50th wedding anniversary. And I can't miss it. I also don't like traveling. Anyway, I was just thinking about it too much, and it was starting to give me the palpitations, you know what I'm saying?
But we're good. We're good.
Hey, Laura.
We're good.
Yes, I know. Yes, we are good. We are so good.
Yes.
Thank you.
We will discuss and see what's necessary. And if there's, a way to bring them to us, then we can do that. And
there's a lot of them.
Yeah. And if there's a way to do it, then we will do that.
Yeah.
And if not, then we'll see. We will see. Everything's okay, right? Life is okay. We're all okay. What if it all works out, right? It's the best shirt I've seen, like going through like social media and you see like different things. And I always see cat memes and cat stuff and it's all about cats. And that's interesting and I love it. But this one said, and I think it had cats on it, which is probably why it came up in my feed. And it said, what if it all works out? And I sit by I have a note on my desk in my office while I'm working. When I look up, what I see, other than my sister's face, because my sister's right there too, what I see is this this little reminder card that says, what would you do if you were not afraid?
Yes, I love that question.
Right? What would you do if you weren't afraid?
Yeah.
And it's kind of motivation for me on a daily basis because it's like, there's so many things that are scary, small things, big things. I mean, regardless of how I'm going to adjust my bra real quick, regardless of how you judge it as if it's big or small, it's all big to us, right? In the moment, whatever it is. And if we weren't scared, if we were not afraid, what would we do? And I think that's a powerful statement. So you guys should jot that down on a little sticky note and put it next to where you put it on your mirror that you get ready with in the morning, or put it on your desk, or put it somewhere and remind yourself of that. Like, it's just a good question to ask yourself. What would I do if I weren't afraid? Would I take this risk? Would I do this? Would I travel? Would I take this risk with our business? Would I spend this money when I don't know if it's a good gamble or if it's a bad gamble? Like, so many things that is like, we can do things when we're not scared, right? So today is an awesome podcast, and we're going to be talking all about cat food. And you know what? Honestly, we should just start the podcast so that we could throw it all in here. But we had no idea what we were going to talk about
until we had some inspirations
a couple minutes ago. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. So here we go. Welcome to episode number 0086 of Back in the Closet with the Two Crazy Cat Ladies. If you guys, I wish that all of the podcast listeners could see Adrian mimic me saying the same thing every week. She does a really good arm swing with it. It's like she does a chair dance.
It's like your happy elbows.
It's like my happy Irish elbows.
Hey, podcasters, this is just an invitation to come join our live on YouTube every Sunday around 4:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, that's when we're recording. Guys, today is all about cat food. We had a almost breakdown from Adrian about what we talked about last week, actually, and the week before. I think we talked about your fears of traveling and all that stuff and things.
It's been a common denominator of a couple conversations.
Yeah. And then we're talking about the statement that I have in my office that says, or by statement I mean question, that's hanging up in my office. It says, "What would you do if you weren't afraid?" And so that's the profound moment that we're at right now before we talk about cat food. And I guess we could probably tie it in some way, shape, or form.
Maybe. We'll see how this goes.
But yeah, so our podcast is called Back in the Closet. If you guys are joining us for the first time, because we record it in our closet, and that is because, well, it's funny, but it's also the best place for acoustics. Is that what you call it? For sound.
We got plenty of sound dampening things here, so it doesn't sound as
in our studio it's very loud and echoey, and here in the closet it is not as such. It is also very hot.
It's very warm.
It's
very warm.
So
I'm excited about this podcast because we had some extra inspiration today from the beautiful, incredible Dr. Karen Becker. For anyone here that is interested in knowing more about how to best care for our pets, I think in general, there is an incredible group on Facebook called The Inside Scoop, and it is a subscription group. I guess you have to pay to be in it. It's $10 a month or $9.99, whatever it is. It is really one of the best, most informative places that you can spend your money, and it is full of incredible information. Today's topic was about pancreatitis, and it really made us start thinking about food in general, because food is foundational to health, to our health. And when we start thinking about that for our pets, for our companion animals, we recognize just how foundational it is for them as well.
Yeah.
And today's topic is huge.
Yeah, and there's so much misinformation. Now, we're not going to talk specifically about pancreatitis in cats, but when it comes to diet, there's so much misinformation out there. There's so much, if I will say, bias science, which we're all very familiar with, right? Science that's funded by, say, this pet food company in order to get the results that they want to see for said A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And then there is other science that's done. Unfortunately, most of it's not done with cats. So it can get really discombobulated, and we can lose our common sense piece when it comes to feeding our animals, right? So the topic of this podcast was what we feed our cats and why, right? Yeah. And so I think the why is very important, because a lot of us, there are many different reasons why we feed our cats the food that we feed, right? For instance, we feed a species appropriate balanced raw diet to our cats. And the reason why, the final reason why, the beginning of the reason why was because we were doing a lot of research. We were hearing and learning a lot about fresh food. Our common sense kind of kicked in with the documentary called Pet Fooled.
And the biology of our obligate carnivore
and learning about
companion animals,
right? Learning about the biology of cats and how their bodies work, but the why came when our oldest cat at the time was diagnosed with early stages kidney disease, and that was when we were like, we have to do it right, meow. We're going to do it right now. We're going to stop overthinking the whole thing, and we're going to just start, and we're going to get going. And luckily it was the best decision we made for him, and our other cats, by default.
Well, and to
But
be
that's
honest,
the why.
Jay made the decision. I was still very scared of raw feeding at the time,
That's true.
but we were told Scotch had maybe 6 to 8 months, and he lived another 3 years,
Yes.
almost 4 years.
Yeah.
And his kidney levels never elevated past that initial test. So I understand that raw feeding can be very scary to people.
Yeah.
But that was our why.
And that might be the reason why, the scariness might be the reason why some people don't feed raw food, right? It was actually the reason why we didn't for so long, when we were trying to we knew it was going to be a different, more expensive, actually. It didn't turn out to be more expensive than feeding wet food, which we had switched from kibble to wet. And that reason why, were other reasons, right? So other education that we had learned along the way, as far as what cats need and the moisture that they need in their diet, as does your animals. But a lot of people, they feed the food that they feed because their why is because, say, their veterinarian has told them that this is the only food that your cat can eat, and they have to eat it for a lifetime, right? That's a valid reason that many people have to be like, okay, I have to feed my cat this diet.
And we have a whole other podcast on prescription diets, and I think prescription diets are like that scary place where it's like, oh, I have to have my cat on indoor only hairball formula, or I have to have them on a UTI formula, or I have to have them on this diabetic thing, right? Like prescription or veterinarian formula diets are a whole different topic.
And just so you know, that's under it's actually being the companies that are using the term prescription, which is a trademark term. It's not, there is no medicine in there. They're actually being sued. They're going through lawsuits right now because of the misinformation that people are getting. So many people think that anything that's a prescription, as you should, if you think that it's a prescription, then you think that there's medicine in it, and there is no medicine in prescription diets. That is a trademark term for marketing purposes. Same goes with veterinarian diets and whatever other term that they use for the diets that many of our veterinarians sell.
Maybe
however,
sometimes the why is your cat. Sometimes the why is you've got a super finicky cat, and this is the only food they will eat, and you've tried to switch it up, and they are like, nope. And then you just wasted however much money on the new food that you thought was going to be better for them, and you feel like, no, that was not worth it, and we're going back to whatever food my cat was eating to begin with.
Yeah. And sometimes it's convenience. For many, many, many years, the reason that we fed the food that we fed was for convenience. I mean, maybe we didn't know, or lack of knowledge, right? So like at first it was lack of knowledge. At first it was cats eat cat food. Well, let's go buy cat food. We didn't even put it in our heads. Is this good for them or bad for them? It's food.
I think there's a twofold thing. So I think what we can afford is one thing.
Right.
We went by what we could afford, and we knew we had cats and we had to get cat food. So we went to Walmart and we found the biggest bag of cat food for the cheapest amount of money. And that's what we fed, because that was our why. Right. We need cat food, and we can't afford to feed ourselves. At the time.
And then we started learning more about the pet food industry and with the ingredients that were actually going into the food that we were feeding, and the color dyes and the toxic ingredients and
animal digest and the sprayed flavor and
the byproducts and the huge amount of carbohydrates, and how every food that we fed began with like corn, and it was like, oh my, okay, so we learned that. So then we upgraded to a better kibble that had the first 3 to 5 ingredients as meat, and we were like, okay, we're feeding still out of convenience, but what we thought was definitely a better.
Can I explain really quick what convenience meant to me at the time? Convenience meant to me at the time that we would get up, we would see, do they still have food in their bowls or not? If they didn't, if it was kind of running low or they had the center eaten out, we'd top it off. We would top it off. I think I washed their bowls, probably plastic bowls, mind you, maybe once or twice a week. When they got really slimy and you could start seeing all the dust kind of accumulate on there, maybe I wash it out then. But it was so convenient. If we fed a wet food treat, it meant that we were going to have to wash that dish the same day. Like this was, or it was going to sit there and stink, right? This is what I'm saying. Like, this is how much we had to learn about why would we feed our cats anything other than cat food, and why does it have to take any more effort than just topping off their trough?
And why do the ingredients matter, right? Yeah. So we always say, and we didn't coin the term, Maya Angelou did, but once you know better, you can do better, right? So the more we learn, the more accountable we obviously were to our cats.
However inconvenient it felt at the time.
However inconvenient it did feel at the time to switch the diet to something that is going to be healthier for our cats. Now, there's absolutely no judgment. As we're telling you here, we've gone through this entire sequence from like the worst, literally the worst quality kibble diet to now a species appropriate balanced raw food diet.
Reiterate that though. I think it's really important for everyone to understand.
And many steps in between.
That your why should never be judged. It is up to us to evaluate our why.
Correct.
And that's
the point of the podcast.
That's the whole point of this.
Yes.
Maybe we don't know why. And this is the invitation to think about, why am I feeding my cat this food? And that goes for us as well as anybody, it's like,
right.
Yes, it's true that feeding a species appropriate balanced raw food diet to all 6 of our cats is more expensive than a 40-pound bag of meow mix, which is where we started.
Yes.
So thinking about the why is the invitation. There's no judgment to the why, for the why.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you just said that. Yeah, I think like understanding why, and we never thought about the why. Mm-mm. We never really thought about the why for so many years. It was just what it
wasn't
was
a
just
question.
It was just
you have cats, go get cat food.
So you want to think about the why. Is it because the ingredients in the food are what you deem as the best for your cat? Is it because somebody has told you to, but you don't understand the ingredients in the food? Is it because, even if it's because we've told you to, do you understand the ingredients in the food? Do you know why you're feeding what you're feeding? And, or is it because of convenience? Is it because of budget? Is it because of, whatever the reasons are? Why do you feed what you feed? I think is a very important question to ask yourself.
And I want to say this too. And I love that we have the opportunity to meet with veterinarians like Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor. I think there's so many veterinarians now that are understanding the importance of nutrition. And I just want to say, thinking about this right now as we're sitting here, I found Scotch, our oldest boy, my first cat, in 1997. The very first conversation I ever had with a vet about nutrition was the appointment where his kidney levels were elevated. And they asked us to put him on a prescription diet that was sitting there in their lobby. And that was the first conversation we ever had with a vet about diet. And I think it's so important for us to recognize that while we understand the significance of having a really good relationship with our veterinarian, that conventional medicine is so important, that it is really important for us to be thinking about what we're putting in our cats' bodies every day. And I think the veterinary community is really starting to kind of catch up with the significance of nutrition and how it can help. Yeah.
And that
was the first conversation we ever had with a vet about what we feed our cats, is when something went wrong. And I think that's an unfortunate commonality for so many of us when we think about what we're feeding our cats. It's something is happening and we have to figure out if food can help.
Well, and as we know, like for ourselves, and I think most of us know for our animals too, that what we put in our bodies is either healing or it's not, right? It's either good or it's bad. I mean, we know that.
It's not neutral.
Right. It's not neutral. It's not like, okay, you get like, you're putting in some good stuff. All right. You're drinking too much wine. That's not necessarily really good. I get it. We're eating a ton of carbs. Yesterday, we vegged out and we ate carb central.
Amazing carbs.
I felt it today. I felt it all over. I still feel it all over my body. I knew that it was going to happen. I decided to do it anyway. I got to make that decision for myself to allow myself to not feel well today because I chose to make this decision for my body yesterday.
Well, in fairness, though, you didn't drink anything, so you didn't double whammy it.
Right. I didn't drink alcohol
Right.
yesterday.
So it's like carbs or alcohol.
Yeah.
But we get to make those decisions.
Right. When it
We're
comes
the
to our
only
cat,
ones that make those decisions for our cats.
yeah. When it comes to our cats, we're also the ones that make the decision for them. And if we want them to feel a certain way, so this is all stuff that we just have to kind of learn and make the best decisions that we can for our cats along our journey of learning, right? Diet is, you guys know we're in the supplemental industry. We are all about making sure that our cats get extra than just what their diet needs, right? We're all about supplementation. Supplementation has two definitions. It's either to balance a diet or balance something, or it is to enhance something. And we are all about the enhancement. And that's that's our business, right? But when it comes to diet, that is the most important, regardless of supplementation. That is the most important thing that we can do for decision that we can make for our kitties is knowing, understanding what it is that we're putting into their bodies and doing the best that we know at the time that we know it for them to live the longest and healthiest and happiest lives possible.
And I remember the first time that I actually we were feeding Origin at the time. It was a kibble, Origin kibble, and it was supposed to be the best kibble that we could get at the time. And it was the first time that I went and looked up every ingredient, misspelled most of them because there's a lot of ingredients that you'll find in a lot of foods that you're not going to know what it is. And I would look it up and I'd look up pronunciation of, and then I would look up like what it is and what its purpose is or whatever. It's an illuminating thing to do. And I think it's something that we should all take 15 minutes, go grab whatever food it is that you're feeding your cats and do that just to see what it is that you see or learn. You'll learn something.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important. It's not that this is the end all be all. You wrote a great blog. I'm so excited. It's going to come out in the newsletter tomorrow. It's already published on our website, but it's talking about care tips for our cats. And the last one that you put in there was love. Right. And so many times when we're having these conversations about.
You did read it.
I read the whole thing. It was amazing.
Oh.
That's an incredible, incredible article.
Thank you.
The last point, though, was love. And I think that the pushback that we get, and it's not that we're trying to push at all.
Judge.
We're sharing stuff that we've learned along our journey. But when we talk about food or when we talk about a species appropriate diet, we get a lot of pushback from people saying, don't tell me I need to feed my cat anything other than kibble. My cat, some of the side comments are, my cat lived to be 11 years old on kibble only. The more impressive ones we get are that my cat lived to be 20 years old on kibble only. And I think that this is part of this is an invitation to just think about what it is that we feed our cats and why, and understanding that at the end of the day, wherever we're at in our journey, the most important,
we can do.
We always do the best that we can. And the most important ingredient in our cats' lives foundationally is love.
Yeah.
And I get the fact that there are going to be cats that live long, healthy, amazing lives. I'm not going to lie. At 9 o'clock
we
at
all
night,
have an uncle that smokes and drinks and eats
and lived to be
McDonald's
98
every
years
day.
old.
Right.
And then we've got the one that ran marathons and ate the healthiest foods in all the land and dropped dead of heart attack at 47. So it's like, who knows? We all just do our best. I forget what I was going to say now. Something.
Sorry.
No, it's not going to come back, I don't think.
Yeah, you were saying that the greatest of these is love.
Yes, what a great article you wrote. It wasn't exactly that. It was, it's gone. It's gone, you guys. It's gone.
Comment below if you can.
If you can read my mind
Adrian's
and tell me what I was thinking.
Because I'm sure it was very profound.
That's sarcasm. I heard that.
Sure, it's like
I heard that was sarcasm.
Thing.
No, I think that it's really important to just recognize. I think for so many years we didn't even think about it.
No.
And we didn't think about it truly until we started seeing stuff that was going wrong.
Well, and when you just start learning, like it's when you learn there's so much to learn every day. We're still learning every day. Thank God we are still learning new things. Today was fantastic. Like just understanding like how amylase and protease runs through the bloodstream and how it should be running through the small intestines. And like so much is like,
there's a lot of great info out there.
Yeah. So much that we're just, every time we can learn something new, we want to, and we get really excited about it so that we can share with you guys the stuff that we learn
and implement for our babies.
Yeah.
And, hey, another shout out, you guys. If you guys are on Facebook, seriously, go check out the group, the Inside Scoop. Inside Scoop. It is a great place. There's so much good content. About this? Yeah, at the very top. But I'm just saying, I'm reiterating.
Yes.
That was part of what we learned today.
They have a live podcast every week, and
a live video podcast.
Dr. Karen Becker and Rodney Habib, two of the two leading veterinarian and pet
advocates.
Health. What do you call it? Consumer scientist that in the world that are, and the two of the most the two most followed people in the entire pet health world. They are doing tons of research. They are doing their own research. They are finding research. They are interviewing scientists. They are doing all the stuff and things to bring to the pet parents across the globe information to help them as well. So they teach us.
Very informative.
It's super informative. They teach us a whole lot.
And it's exciting too, because I think that while there is a lot of controversy in whatever you're looking into, people can make stuff controversial. And I get that is oftentimes where people just stop. It's like, well, my vet said this and this is what I'm hearing, but I'm not going to deal with the conflict. And I'm just going to, the beautiful thing about the Inside Scoop is that it really does help take the controversy out of it. It is just a very pragmatic presentation of the information that's available to us today as pet parents that we can either consume or not consume, implement or not implement. It is what resonates. I think that once we know something, things that we learn, we can unlearn. I think about that so much of our growing up. It's like, wait, I thought that, right?
Especially when it comes,
right. So we learn all this stuff and we think, right, we don't go down that road.
Yeah, I won't go down that road.
We can unlearn stuff, but things that we truly come to know, things that resonate with us. And to us, raw feeding was one of those things that was just, we can't unknow this. There's no way to unknow.
Right.
The logic of this.
Yeah, I mean that's the statement that we always said. Once you maybe we read it, I can't remember, but once you can learn things and you can unlearn them and relearn them, right? Like there's many things myths that we've believed along our journey in life that we have learned, and maybe we learned as children that we're like, oh, that's fact. But when you can also unlearn that and relearn that in a different way, or maybe even the same thing, just in a different way, looking at it with a different perspective. But once you know something, you can't unknow it. Like when you really know something, you can't unknow it.
It just resonates.
Yeah. And that's, when it comes to feeding our cats, I won't say that we're completely done with the journey. I feel like there's still new science and new things that we're going to learn along the way.
I'm like already going to be implementing some things.
Like there's all kinds of new things that we're learning along our journey that we're learning more of. But when it comes to what we had previously thought was just kind of society's way of thinking, like you just feed your cats cat food, like that's it. And it doesn't matter which cat food it is. It doesn't matter what the cost is. It doesn't matter what the ingredients are, which the pet food industry will tell you, that don't read the ingredients. That's not the important part when it comes
to. We literally had them comment on our stuff and say.
Literally, they said that in an interview with Christopher Green from. Yeah. Yes, they actually said that. Representative.
Don't pay attention to the ingredients. It doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter. But when we learn that, obviously, when we know that these things are important, then we have to do better we have to do better just because
Well,
we love
we
our
have a
cats,
choice.
right?
We have a choice. And I think that that's the thing, is that we shouldn't always outsource our choices about our cat's health. And I
That's
feel
true.
like it's important for
We should
us
never
to feel,
outsource
this is
our
why I love, people like Dr. Katie being so available and so active. Dr. Karen Becker,
Yes.
Dr. Lori Kozier, Dr. Judy Morgan,
Yes.
Dr. Jean Hovey, Dr. Lisa Pearson. There are so many veterinarians that
So
are out there
amazing.
really doing their best to share their information, their experience, the science behind why they integrate things in the way that they do, and the impact that they can have on our cat's health. I think it's very affirming, and it's wonderful to have them as a resource.
Mhm.
It's also our responsibility not to outsource our cat's decisions,
Right.
to anyone. It's
Health.
it's our responsibility. And
we
I feel
are
like
we are our cat's best advocate.
yes, but that to me was the most inconvenient thing of all, because I didn't want to be responsible for all of that. And especially when it meant that it was inconvenient.
Look at him now.
Right. But I'm just being honest. I mean, I remember being defensive about certain things because I liked things the way that they were.
Yeah.
And I did not see long-term implications. I did not want to accept certain consequences of the way things already were. I mean, I understand the defensiveness of I experienced that, of you can go ahead and leave me alone. This is how I'm doing it, right? But it's not because I knew anything. It's not because I had ever gone and looked up the ingredients in my cat's food. It's not because I understood how it was made or what the nutritional requirements of an obligate carnivore were. It was just how I
Or that our cats were obligate carnivores.
right.
Like, I mean,
It's just how
how
liked
long
it.
did it take for us to even learn that, really?
So I guess to summarize, I think that it is so important to think about what it is that we feed our cats and just evaluate the why. And you don't have to defend that to anyone. You don't have to feel judged or anything.
No,
it's just
you don't even have to speak it. Just
right. It's just a question to ask yourself.
Yeah. And then ask yourself, what would you do if you weren't afraid?
Way to bring it around. That was good.
You like that?
That was really good.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap up this podcast. I think it's, a good ending spot to just, ask yourself why, and do your research. That's not that you can listen to a lot of awesome people, and we did. And then we still had to do a lot of research. We still had to do a lot of
you always do your own
into
digging.
always. Yeah. Read the ingredients, see what it
Check
is
different
that you're
sources.
feeding your cats.
Yeah.
Make sure that, for instance, we just learned today on the podcast that titanium dioxide, very common ingredient in many pet treats and pet food. Hill's Science Diet is one that has this ingredient in it. It has now been made announced by the EPA, the environment. Anyway, that it is no longer, that it is actually a toxin that all these other.
Say the ingredient again, though, so you can look it up and not just take our word for it.
Is it titanium dioxide?
Titanium dioxide.
Titanium dioxide. I'm pretty sure. Look it up. And that it is no longer accepted as safe in pet food. So it's another one of those, and there are many ingredients. It's actually come out a long time ago that they said this, but they've kind of swept it under the rug, and now it's been made public. And so this is another one of those ingredients that we just want to do your research on. Make sure that it's something that you're okay feeding your cats, because a lot of this stuff is just you have to dig deep if you want to make sure that everything that you're feeding your cat is safe and healthy for
But the
them.
information is out there. I mean, I think that's one of the beautiful things, is that you can actually look stuff up when you see it. When you see it for yourself, it's helpful to know. You don't have to, it's important to know your source. And I think that's what's so wonderful about groups like Inside Scoop, is that they put a lot of this information out there in respected medicine journals. And it's actually stuff that's there. It's just stuff that's kind of down in the study, Well, it could have been something to do with. Anyway, it's a beautiful question to ask. I think that it's one of those things where just think about it. What are we feeding our cats, and why? We never asked the why for so many years. And I think that
It's time that we all do.
There is no judgment on the why. We know what it's like to go and get a 40-pound bag of Meow Mix because that's all we can afford and that's what we fed. And we know that the why can sometimes be because we're afraid of switching our cat's diets up to something else. But we should at least be able to ask ourselves that question.
Yeah.
And know why.
So thanks for joining this episode of Back in the Closet with the Two Crazy Cat Ladies. We hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you are having a beautiful day. And subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. Let us know your why. Why?
Yeah, it's a
Let us know your why. We love you guys so much.
I love you so much. I can't wait to read these YouTube comments. I love you guys. See you soon.
We will be live on Facebook at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So in almost an hour for Cat Tip Review. If you guys will join us, please
come. Bye, you guys.
I love you guys.
Love you.
It's like we're whispering.